All right, so let's look at the behind the scenes. They're apparently doing 2 videos a week now, which is really interesting. More content for us to look at for sure.
Palm Sunday will never be the same for any of us. This is one of the most beautiful moments of my life.
This is the beginning of 600 fans joining us here as background.
We've done this before with Sermon on the Mount and Feeding of the 5,000, but never have we done it to this scale with 600 fans joining us for 3 full weeks.
Yes.
Yeah, so last summer was not 3 weeks. It was just, a few days, basically 4 days, 4 or 5 days, with about 600 extras. But here it's 3 weeks with 600 people every single day. So those people are switching in and out all the time, doing different stuff. But yeah, really, really intense stuff. This is the scene that we saw last week, or maybe the week before. No, I think it was last week, with Jesus basically preaching to the crowd here. We can see Mother Mary is in this crowd. We can see a bunch of the apostles later on are in this crowd. There's a bunch of stuff going on with this scene here for sure.
So we're gonna find out how Dallas, the cast, and the crew handle weeks at such an epic scale.
Such an epic scale!
I love Chris. I love Chris so much. He's awesome. Yep. So here is, I believe these are the paid extras. This is like a smaller group of like paid extras that come and work on the show. I believe that's what this is. We see a lot of the temple guard, which are looking quite different actually than what we've seen previously. Yeah, really interesting.
Hold on.
So we filmed marching into Jerusalem.
Of course, we've gone over this. If you haven't seen, we did a video last week on the triumphal entry and everything that's happening there.
Walking into Jerusalem was so much grander than I envisioned.
First of all, I will say that people have come in from all over the place.
I'm from Washington State.
I'm from Australia.
Originally Baltimore, but I live in Texas.
Alexandria, Virginia.
We're from Texas by way of Virginia.
The fans are so excited to be here. They are so specific with where they're standing, what they're saying, everything like that.
This is sort of how I was feeling when we were filming Feeding of the 5,000 stuff, of just like, whoa, when this arrives on screen, watch out.
Yeah, it's going to be good. I'm really excited for all the big pieces. Like, even if you think about it, like, forget about the show, forget about everything else, using these little pieces as, like, sermon teaching tools for sure is going to be massive in churches as well. Breaking down every little piece of what's kind of going on during the Holy Week, during the triumphal entry, what everything was like just to be able to have a visual piece to teach alongside when you're doing these things is going to be such a huge, resource for a lot of different people as well. So really, really cool stuff.
It's been wonderful. It's the best way to spend the first week back.
Jelaine dressed up there. I don't think she's fully dressed up in like first
week back,
first century stuff, but maybe she is. Yeah, maybe she got to be an extra for part of this as well. That'd be interesting. But of course, we see Lada back there. Of course, we see Salome, Zebedee, all the people that were originally coming in. We also see Yusuf far in the back there too.
The Durban. Never has a knife cut someone, and then the knife had to get a Band-Aid.
His knife broke. Uh-oh.
Now, this is one of the most beautiful moments of my life. So I think Palm Sunday will never be the same.
So we see there Gadara, we see Yusuf, and looks like the other guy is the one who wanted to talk about kind of reuniting Israel and causing a bunch of issues at the end of season 4.
For any of us who are here today, and I believe it will never be the same for anyone.
So we see they're all kind of facing that direction, or for you guys, that direction. That's important, obviously, seeing as Jesus is going to come in from the east. Now, the way that this building is facing, technically the temple, we are looking west right now. The camera is looking towards the west. So Jesus should be coming through the gate to the east, which is like behind us. Technically, that's the way that would be laid out in Israel today, and back then, obviously. So it's interesting to see they're facing kind of towards the north. So I wonder if he's coming in from that direction or going around a different direction or what's kind of going on here. Actually, is there an entrance there? I'll have to think through it. I don't remember. I think there's different debates on how the temple was actually oriented in terms of where the doors were at and different things like that. So he could technically come in from the eastern gate and then go around and come in from the left side of the temple, which is one way that people see the temple being constructed.
When he watches this scene.
So The Chosen has what we call Red Sea moment.
One of you guys says that Jelaine was an extra. Very cool. Very cool. Yeah. I was wondering if they would have her in there or not. Definitely probably not in a prominent position because she's too recognizable now, would be my guess. But yeah, very cool.
Only God can part the sea. Has there been Red Sea moments in your life where maybe The Chosen helped you?
The very first episode touched my heart. It was a time in my life where I was thinking that maybe I'm not that important to God. But when Jesus spoke to Mary at the very end of that first episode of season 1, I wept because it was God speaking to me directly saying, "You're mine. You'll always be mine."
This is...
I love Chris June right here. Obviously one of the producers on the show and helps to do a lot of the background stuff with the special effects and all that kind of stuff, making sure everything's taken care of. Works with OO Studios and so Out of Order Studios. And so really, really cool guy. We always joke every time I see him. He's a great, great guy. Glad he's on the team for sure.
Is how the fans feel across the world about The Chosen. And that's what makes us really proud, showing these recaps to you every week while we shoot it. Day 1, they filmed...
Yeah, there we are again. We see Jelaine in the extras costume again.
These recaps to you every week while we shoot.
Right there. But Chris is not able to because he's too white, would be my guess. Which is hilarious because like 95% of the people who show up to be extras are all white. No offense, just saying, probably not super accurate to the time period. That's all I'm saying. Chris did get to be a Pharisee at one point though for season 4, so there's his debut right there.
Shoot it. Day 1, they filmed Jesus walking down the path. Day 2 took him through that path, through the sheep gate, kind of into the city. Now.
Yeah, so they're entering in right here through the front, but they're all kind of facing over to the right still here. So I wonder where he's actually going to come in or what's going to be happening there. It'll be quite interesting to see. Yeah.
Now, day 3 is finally taking him the rest of the way through the city into the market. It's kind of...
Yeah, so when he says market, what he means is Solomon's portico. And so the market here is, it's within the temple area here, unless they're trying to portray this as a different area entirely. But I don't think so, because this is definitely where everything else has happened and it looks exactly the same. So, yeah, I think this is definitely portraying Solomon's portico, not necessarily a market. But of course, a bunch of commerce is happening here because they're trying to sell different things.
Kind of interesting when you think about the magic of filmmaking.
Just go through it real quick.
So here we see another side of this where Jesus again is teaching up here. This is a rehearsal, obviously, where they're talking about different stuff. But we see Simon Z and Big James next to him here as well.
So to make sure there's no physicality that we need to be worried about.
Today, finally 5 days into shooting season 5, we are picking up right where we left off.
So what he means by that is picking up right where we left off at the end of season 4. We had the triumphal entry coming into the city, and now everybody is pushing in into the city to actually have that Hosanna moment. Yeah.
Very nice. Let's reset.
There is a fake donkey.
This is pretty creepy for sure. We talked about this last week as well.
So there's the normal donkey, which has been like a trooper, thunderstruck. Then there's also the nightmare monstrosity. I just pity the sad creation who will never know what love feels like because it has no heart, but it does have wheels.
Every time I watch this scene, I'm going to remember this whole day because...
It's Nathaniel's birthday today.
Yep. Seems like every time they film, it's right around his birthday. And so every single season we get like a birthday videos and different things like that for Austin. So So we can see here how everybody's lined up. We also see those large blue screens, which we talked about previously, that are going to basically show the rest of the city as well as the temple and everything else that's kind of going on there. If they're coming in through the eastern gate, it is like right next to the temple. Like it's right there. And so this blue screen is going to help them to CGI all the stuff that they need right when they go into the city there. So I wonder how they're going to show that. Should be really cool to see. I hope you're enjoying this little excerpt of our live stream that we do every single Sunday night. If you want to see the entire live stream with all the behind the scenes that we broke down and went into scriptures and a bunch of different stuff, you can go over to snipesupport.com. As low as $5, you can support us, help us to keep making more videos like this, and even see that full live stream and a ton of other content over there. So if that interests you, definitely go over to snipesupport.com and it would really help us out. All right, let's get back to the video. Really, really cool stuff. Mitch is cool. In this video, basically, we're looking at Mitch Hudson, and how he directs the extras and stuff. So let's check this one out.
Thank you so much for watching here on the Chosen app.
Part of the exclusive content you're about
Technically Chosen website, but yeah.
to see is Mitch Hudson as he's directing all 600 fans who came here as background.
Let's all take 8 steps this direction toward the ark. Count out with me. 1, 2.
He is our second, and that means he reports directly to the assistant director, Adam Drake. Check this out and so many other great exclusives right here.
So I need to take you guys on a journey. Here's what we're gonna do. It will take us through the city and around the corners.
Yeah, so this will be cool. I love this concept of sharing 2 videos a week, kind of giving more behind the scenes, more of like the energy of what's on set and what's happening, going over a specific person on set is an interesting idea for sure.
All right, I'm gonna take you through a little secret passageway, and we're gonna get to where we need to be next.
So what has been different about this crowd than the feeding of the 5,000 or the Sermon on the Mount?
Yeah, I would say what's different about this crowd compared to the past crowds that we've had is that this crowd, a lot of them were in those moments. The Sermon on
the naming conventions of all the movie stuff is so confusing. How it's like second AC or AD. I mean, there's like a second. There's like a second AC. There's like a second AD. There's of course a assistant director. All that kind of stuff. There's just like the naming conventions are so confusing to me.
the Mount, feeding the 5,000, 100. So a lot of them, it feels like the group that we have now, even if they are new, they kind of know the deal.
Yeah, so a lot of these people have been coming to these extra opportunities for the last like 3 or 4 years, right? Because they started back in the Sermon on the Mount, then the Feeding the 5,000, then last summer there was only about 600 of them, but there was, they were all there during that time, and then now here. So there's a lot of people who have been able to have these extra experiences here. Really, really cool stuff.
Yeah, a little tired, dude. We are Red Group.
Red Group.
So they're saying we are Red Group, and so Red Group is like they're all split into different colored groups. So when you're going to be an extra on The Chosen, you're not going to be out there for like 13 hours a day. You are going to be out there quite a bit, but your group will be there for certain times of the day, certain scenes of the day, and so you guys will move back and forth, and you'll be able to sit in the shade and the AC and eat some food and some different things like that throughout the day. That's because obviously they don't want people to be working for 12, 13 hours a day and then get totally exhausted and pass out and hurt people and everything like that, especially since the Chosen audience generally leans a bit older, and so you got to be careful with a lot of those older people as well, to make sure they're hydrated, to make sure they're not getting sunburned and destroyed and all that kind of stuff, and so of course they're talking about their group here, which is Red Group, and I'm sure there's different groups like blue or green or yellow or whatever else they had for this specific session here.
Yeah, I mean, the good news about the background that we have is that they are super excited to be here. So honestly,
yeah, and even I recognize a bunch of the people here that we served with last summer and before that at the Feeding the 5,000. So interesting stuff.
Moving up in stride pretty well because they're just hyped. They just got their own energy that's fueling them as they walk through. We're here!
So we see a little bit behind the scenes of the entrance into the city. I'm not sure if Roman guards would be here unless this is supposed to be a different gate entirely. Yeah, I'd have to think through that. I'm not sure that Roman guards would be guarding the temple. It would be the temple guards who are doing that, but maybe they just want to portray something very specific with the Roman guards here. Not sure.
Right, Some weird looking dogs. All right. So, we got all kinds of things out here today. In this scene, point to your left. Point to your right. Point up the path behind you. Point into the city. So, here's the idea. I want you guys to start spreading out between those 4 places that you pointed to, okay? You need to go all the way down the path to disappear off.
Yeah, so obviously he's telling them spread out as much as you can. They want this to look as natural as possible, especially on camera, so that when they're doing all these different things, it just looks like people are maneuvering around like they would normally during that time.
Camera, so spread out for me. Let's go ahead and start spreading out to the left, to the right, and down the path.
When fans watch these episodes back, what is something that nobody watching is going to know?
In between every take that we did, we had a little dance that I and the background would do together.
Right. So, yeah, so I agree with you, but if Jesus is coming in, so Peggy says there were Romans here, temple guards were guarding the temple on set. Yes, I agree with that. However, if you're coming in through the eastern gate, you have to understand that in Israel, can I show you a picture? I don't know. Let me go to Google Maps. Let me show you how this kind of works. Let me see here. Go to this, continue, go here, and do this. Okay, let me show you view full screen. Can I do that? Toggle full screen. Okay, cool. All right, let me show you this. So if I dive into Israel, okay, here's Israel, and we go to Jerusalem, which is right here, okay, and we go over, we see the Western Wall, okay, this is the Temple Mount right here, okay. So if you are coming from ancient Israel, okay, so just to put it into perspective, right here is a very small valley, okay, it's called the Kidron Valley, okay. Right now there is a cemetery there, there's a bunch of cemetery, a Catholic cemetery, a Jewish cemetery, and a Muslim cemetery that basically fill up this entire side, okay. Imagine right here, of course, is the Dome of the Rock. This is where the temple stood. Okay, this is the Temple Mount. So somewhere on this mount, most people believe that it's right where the Dome of the Rock is where the temple was. Okay, so over here is like, there's no city over here. So Jesus comes from the eastern gate, which is this side right here. Okay, the gate is actually right over here. It's closed up because the Muslims don't want it to be open. Okay, in fact, they've put Muslim graves in front of the eastern gate as well in order to cordon off people from getting there. Okay, so if Jesus is coming from the eastern gate or going into the eastern gate, there most likely wouldn't be Roman guards here because the eastern gate doesn't go into the city. Like, it doesn't go into the rest of Jerusalem, the old city of Jerusalem, which we know is here, right? So like this area outlined in the screen right here is the old city of Jerusalem, the majority of the same kind of area that it would have been during the time of Jesus. Okay. So from over here where my cursor is down here up to here and then around, this part was outside of the city during the time of Jesus. And then we have this part up here. But if they're going into the eastern gate, there's no city over here that's like part of the ancient city during Jesus's time. Okay. So if he's coming into the eastern gate, he's basically going straight into the Temple Mount and into the temple. Okay. There wouldn't have been like him going into the city and blah, blah, blah. He would have gone straight into the temple. Does that make sense? So if they have Roman guards there, it would be kind of weird, at least in my opinion. Maybe I got to do some more research, but that's just my thought overall. So let's jump back in right here.
Called the Chosen Cha-Cha.
I mean, the Chosen Cha-Cha is like... We shouldn't stop moving, bouncing, staying active.
We'd all just...
Again, he doesn't want people to pass out. Not a great look if you have people passing out all the time. The feeding of the 5,000 was definitely the hardest when it came to people getting like hurt or getting like knocked out from the sun, stuff like that. So yeah.
Start dancing together just to stay, you know,
like this?
Yeah, it was a little bit of a this, and it had some of these in it and all that, and that just kind of helped everyone just keep the blood circulating so that we're all staying healthy and you know, keeping the blood flowing while we go.
The fish and the loaves.
The fish and the loaves.
And then look at that.
What is this?
The fish and the loaves.
You've literally come offering your loaves and your fish.
I have.
This is David. I'm not sure if David is on the live streams right now. I haven't seen him recently, but David used to be a big part of our live streams, hanging out with us, talking all the time. But he was there last summer as well with his lyre, and so very cool that he got to play it here on camera as well.
So The Chosen has these things called Red Sea moments, where it's impossible to get through, but God makes a way. Have there been any Red Sea moments in you or your wife's life where The Chosen has been an inspiration?
Yes, 100%. She was Jewish. Now she's Messianic Jewish.
As a Jew, you know, went through a tragedy in my life, really started focusing on God, and then reread the Old Testament, and that's when I discovered The Chosen and started watching it.
And so to find The Chosen,
super interesting. I love it when that happens.
Bringing her across, spreading that sea, to sit back and watch God do that in our lives was utterly amazing.
These miracles are so quick and short that had I just read that on its own, I think I'd have glossed over the magnificence of it. It's just been amazing.
Yeah, great.
What was your probably greatest triumph this week?
We sang a song with a lot of the background. We wanted to make sure that we recorded the song cleanly and got a lot of good.
So there's Tyler there. Tyler is actually a great musician, if you didn't know. He's sung with a bunch of different groups and been in different bands and stuff like that. And so Tyler is a really, really cool guy. Not only is he just a creative genius in general, but obviously as a writer, very, very, very solid writer on the show, obviously. So here he's probably written this song like he's done in the past, and so he's teaching them this song, probably something to do with Hosanna, would be my guess. You can actually see them mouthing Hosanna during this song here, but obviously they took out the audio in order for us not to know exactly what the song was. I'm sure some of you in the chat know exactly what the song is.
Things that we can use for sound in the show. They sounded great. They actually sounded really, really good, and I feel like it turned out surprisingly so well, considering.
So you see that they said Hosanna at the end there. So really interesting. Obviously, Hosanna, they're kind of like praising, welcoming Jesus in as this new king figure. They got it wrong, of course. They think he's a conquering king coming to destroy the Romans, but of course we're going to go through all of that in season 5, which will be really, really interesting to see.
It was 600 strangers all singing a song together.
Gross. What is hanging there, dude?
I don't know.
What is that?
Some local spices.
No, same spot, dude. There's like a worm or something.
You're lying.
Something was hanging.
What would you say has been maybe your greatest challenge this week?
Unlike some of the scenes we've done in the past, like the Feeding 5,000 and the Sermon on the Mount, in those scenes, for the most part, the crowd, once they got to where they were going to be, they stayed there. But for these, it's more.
This city is alive. The people are moving. They have to be autonomous. It can't be like all these people are standing in one spot forever. Yeah.
There's a lot more finesse to what they're doing. So one of the biggest challenges is just trying to get what we need for the shot, but then also make sure that we're able to do it safely with crowds of people.
I always love the lighting and stuff that they have to do for these. Like, it's so intense to see all these different things that they have to do. And those lights are so expensive too. I mean, tens and tens of thousands of dollars just on the lighting. I mean, hundreds of thousands of dollars on the lighting alone for sure for the whole show, but just those lights, the two that we saw there, is like probably close to 50 grand or something. Crazy. But anyway, Chris and Jelaine, thank you so much for this behind the scenes. I love looking at all this kind of stuff. Thanks for watching this video all the way to the end, and YouTube thinks that you'll like this video next, so go ahead and go over there.